everyone. Welcome to our second ever Creaky Kitchen event, a night of tips and treats. It's great to see all your smiling faces. Let's kick it off with a big wave. Hi, everyone. It's great to see you. Thanks to all our returning guests. And if you're new tonight, Creaky Kitchen is something that sort of arose out of the COVID-19 era when we're all still isolating strictly and in our homes, and we wanted to find a way to connect with our community virtually and together as a chronic illness community during these times. Right now, we know the holiday season is looking quite different. We know it's always a bit hard when you have a chronic illness, but now, especially during COVID, we wanted to find ways to connect, and we thought, what better than over food? Food is often something that people with chronic illness struggle with a lot. So we thought we would hear from people with chronic illness about how they find recipes that they like and different tricks, which we'll hear about later tonight. That's just one of the many things we have going on during COVID. Another big thing we have going on is our new website, eRoom. Some of you may have been seeing your doctor through telehealth, and it's definitely a new thing as well, and difficult to maneuver if you haven't done it before. So if you would like tips on how to do a visit, how you can prepare yourself, your room, your environment, what questions to ask your doctor. I mean, hey, how do you communicate through a computer to your doctor about what you're feeling? You can go to eroom.org to get a customized guide. I'll put the link in the chat box for everyone, which reminds me that we do have a chat box here, and everyone should feel free to use it and comment throughout the night. We'll be monitoring it, and I know that part of our evening will be interactive, so definitely don't forget about the chat box. A few logistics before we get started. If everyone can remember to stay on mute so we can hear Chantelle share her recipe. Also, if you want to pin Chantelle's video so you can see her in big while she cooks, you can go to the three little buttons on the top of her little video and just click pin. That simple. So I think we are ready to get started. Without further ado, Chantelle, let's get cooking.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that great introduction. Hope everybody goes and checks out the telehealth site. That's going to be a lot of help for a lot of people. So, hey everyone, welcome back to our kitchen for another installment of Creaky Kitchen. It's been a super snowy 24 hours or so here in Boston. I've got over a foot of snow on my front deck, which is on the second floor. So you can only imagine it's been really wild weather here in the Northeast. Anyway, tonight we're here to tempt your sweet tooth and give you an easy, delicious addition to your winter table. Winter baking is always great, you know, pies, cookies, all that good stuff. But what I was thinking is, what happens when you're making that big winter meal for your family, or the small one, because it's 2020, and the oven is full of your roast, your turkey, your ham, a whole head of cauliflower. Try it. It's really good. Trust me on this. Roasted cauliflower, highly recommend it. So what I figured is we could turn to the stovetop for a recipe that my mom actually used to make. Was my mom the greatest cook? Debatable. But she did have some of her greats, and this is one of them. It's an appleberry slump. Some people call it a grunt. But either way, I think as arthritis patients, we can agree that an occasional slump or a grunt here and there are common in our lives. So to honor my mom, who we lost a little bit earlier this year to COVID, I wanted to share her recipe with you. Andy was the best nurse, the best mom, the best sister, the best aunt, the best wife, the best friend that anyone could ever have for us. So I'm happy to share one of her few very good recipes with you. So I've gone ahead and already done some prep because I didn't want you guys to sit here and watch me chop for 6.5 minutes exactly. I timed it. So these are my apples here. They are sitting in acidulated water, which is basically just water with lemon in it. And I have chopped them, I have peeled them, I have chopped them, and they're at about 1-inch dice. on my stove here, which I hope you guys can see, I have a pan with about a cup of water that's heating up over medium heat. And I'm gonna add the apples to that, and then we're gonna keep it moving from there. All right. I'm using this like spider kind of thing, but not the metal one, because the metal one kind of like wrecks the apple. So just gonna drop them in and hopefully not splash myself with semi-boiling water. And the lemon in the water helps them not to brown. You guys at home, if you were just chopping, you can just chop and drop and skip this step completely. I know it wasn't in the recipe, but because I chopped ahead, I didn't want them to turn brown and you guys go, oh my goodness, what is she trying to feed us? So, alrighty. So all of our apples are in the pan. And to that, we're gonna add all the other ingredients that were there. So the water's already in there. There's our apples. Here's our cranberries. If you don't have cranberries, like someone said earlier, you can substitute, I think it was frozen cherries. You can double up on blueberries, or like my mom used to do, she would just make it with all apples sometimes because apples were on sale. And we're gonna do about half a pint of blueberries. Yes, they're washed. And now you have blueberries for breakfast. And let's see, what else do we have in there? I forget sometimes. 2/3 of a cup of sugar. And yes, I'm measuring, unlike last time. This is not a super sweet dessert, but it's just sweet enough. I think the sugar and the tartness of the apples and the tartness of the cranberry kind of like balance each other out. And we have cinnamon. This is where I'm not going to measure because I love cinnamon. So that's cinnamon. And then for the nutmeg, you can have ground nutmeg already, or you can get your little nutmeg nut, your rasp, and you can grate it directly over the pot. And that smells amazing. So good. I always put it in the cup because otherwise I lose it. And then a little glug of good vanilla. I don't know why my vanilla is wearing a hat, but she is. So we'll take her hat. And that is it for our filling. So that's gonna just hang out in the pot. It's gonna start bubbling. In the meantime, we're gonna wanna get to our topping, which is gonna be these wonderful little biscuits that we plop on top. So I'm gonna crank the heat up to about medium high, give it a big stir, and then clamp on the lid. This smells so good already. Perfect. All right, lid goes on, spoon goes down. We focus on our topping. So the topping in here, I have, I forgot, 3/4 of a cup of flour, a 1/4 cup of sugar, a teaspoon of baking powder. Make sure your baking powder is fresh. Look on the bottom, make sure that the date, because we don't use this all the time, so make sure that it is not expired. Otherwise, your biscuits will not fluff. And we also have in there a pinch of nutmeg, a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, and we're going to be putting in some cubed butter and some milk. And this is a pastry cutter that will come into play in a moment. So we have our icy cold butter. And what we're going to do is cube that. Because what we're going to be doing with the pastry cutter is cutting it in so that it becomes like a crumbly mixture, almost like you were making one of those like a streusel topping, or if you were making pie dough. And this is very cold butter. You want everything in this stage to be very cold. I could do this with my hands because they're actually really cold right now, but I will use the pastry cutter because that's the appropriate thing to do. So you're just gonna go like in a rocking motion, and it will eventually turn into a coarse mixture that we're just gonna we're gonna mix some milk into. Sometimes you just gotta clear it a little bit, but you see how it's becoming like, they're becoming more fine. So, you guys come here often? No, I'm just kidding. This is the part where if it was Food Network, they would cut away because no one wants to see this. Like, no one wants to watch Giada do this, but you know, whatever, it's me. And you want the pieces of butter to still be a little bit visible because they're gonna make the bubbles, and oh, it'll just be so delicious. Alrighty, so that's just about where we want it. I can still see some chunks of butter, but it's pretty much so combined in, and it's made like kind of a sandy mixture. All right. So to this, we are going to add our milk. I'm just waiting for this to come up to a boil so that everything is kind of like melted down, and then I can plop these on top. So it's about 1/3 of a cup of milk. And of course, I'm not gonna measure this right. Perfect. 1/3 of a cup of milk goes in. Did I remember to bring the spoon over here? No, didn't. And that's okay. So we're just gonna combine this, and you just wanna stir it until you see the milk disappear. You don't want it to be any dry spots on the bottom, but you don't wanna overmix it either. So, you know, eyeball it. And what you have is like a nice soft dough. And it's studded with all those warm spices. It just all comes together so well. So let me check on my apples. And I can hear them bubbling at the bottom. And some of the cranberries have started to break down, so they're giving off their color. So by the time this is done, it's gonna be like a nice, like, purpley hue. And I'm just gonna give this a couple more seconds to come to the boil before I drop the biscuits on top. So I just need 2 minutes. So if you guys want to chat, go ahead.
Well, in those 2 minutes, why don't you tell us about the snowstorm? I hear there's a lot of snow in Boston.
It's insanity. We actually, I foolishly said, "Hon, let's go to the corner store today." Bad idea. Bad idea. Boots were lost. Snow was everywhere, and it's literally 6 houses down. But like, not everybody had shoveled yet, so it was just it was insane. Like, we haven't gotten the car out yet. Like, it's a mess. But our street is down to pavement, the street part, but the sidewalks are still insane. I anticipate it to be like that for a few more days because it's going to be freezing tonight. So everything's just gonna ice over.
All the more reason for this warm, delicious dessert.
Exactly. I'm so looking forward to just like eating it out of the pot. You guys won't see that, I promise. Let me see here. It looks like we are bubbly. So I am going to scoop my biscuits on, and if you were here last Creaky Kitchen, you know, I have kind of an obsession with these spring-loaded ice cream scoops. I use them for everything. And this is another occasion. Did my mom have a spring-loaded scoop? No, she didn't. She just used a spoon. So don't feel like you have to go out and get special equipment just to make something. Perfectly fine to just use a couple of spoons. I'm just trying to be fancy for you guys. So we're just gonna scoop this, little clouds on top, like Bob Ross. And you can still kind of see the butter in there and all the warm spices. And these are going to puff up with the lid clamped on for about 20 minutes or so. And I don't bother like making sure that they're super spaced or anything, because they're all just going to kind of come together in the end anyway in like one big crust. So let's clamp on the lid. I'm going to let this go for about 20-25 minutes at the most. It's a very forgiving recipe because what's basically happening underneath those biscuits is it's making an applesauce. And then on top, the more steam and everything that gets into the biscuits, the fluffier they get. So it's very forgiving. So if you guys want to chat, go right ahead, and I'll be back when this is done.
Awesome. Thanks, Chantelle. This is looking so delicious. And if anybody else is freezing in the snow and feeling it in their joints, a great way to track your symptoms is through our app, Arthritis Power. You can go in there and just mark how you're feeling right now, tomorrow, the next day, and every day after that. And then you'll really be able to see, is it the snow that's making my joints hurt, or what else is this? And maybe for those of you in the heat, maybe heat makes it flare, who knows? And then next time you're having your appointment with your rheumatologist, you guys can look at it together and really be proactive about your care. So that's our little tips, but we have tips coming from rheumatoid arthritis patient and occupational therapist and founder of the educational company Arthritis Life, Cheryl Crow, with us tonight, who will be sharing her best tips and tricks for navigating the kitchen when you have arthritis, or really just tips for navigating the kitchen. She has a lot of great stuff in store for us. So without further ado, Cheryl, take it away.
Hi, thank you so much. Oh, I was going to say I'm going to share my screen, but do you guys automatically see me since I'm talking? Oh, perfect. Okay, great. So hi. I think I know some of you from Twitter, some of you from TikTok, all sorts of different places. So I just want to introduce myself super quickly. So yes, I am Cheryl Crow, and I run Arthritis Life, which is an arthritis educational organization. And I have a master's in occupational therapy, which I like to say in layman's terms, it's kind of like a mixture of, counseling and mental health, but also life hacks and the physical side of things. So it's a really fascinating job field, and it comes in very, very handy with rheumatoid arthritis. So a quick introduction to life hacks in general. I like to always think about, okay, when we have arthritis and we have joint pain, we have to think about, can we change the items we're using? Like instead of a regular pair of scissors, can I use one of these cool pairs of scissors that doesn't put stress on my thumb and I use it the right way? Or that's changing the item, like adding a gadget or a gizmo. Or can I change my approach? So even if I don't buy something different, I just use what I already have in my home and in my body, can I change how I approach that task? So yes, by the way, I do also make the TikTok videos currently for Global Healthy Living Foundation. And it's been really, really fun connecting with other people and sharing some of these life hacks too. So for the kitchen, I could talk for like an hour about kitchen hacks. I'm going to try to I'm going to keep it to 20 minutes. But there are lots of different options for the kitchen when you have creaky joints. And that's because it's a very common area of pain for us. I would love to know if you want to let me know in the comments, like some of the challenges you've had. The 3 things I'm going to talk about today, and I'm sorry for my awkward positioning. My phone wasn't connecting well, so I had to last minute change my position here. But I'm going to talk about ways to open items easier. So opening aids, and then cutting and carving aids, and then different silverware and eating aids, as well as at the end, we're going to talk a little bit about fatigue, because fatigue is kind of like the lost frontier of autoimmune forms of arthritis, right? A lot of people think arthritis, they just think joint pain, but it's also a full body systemic disease that also causes fatigue. So I have rheumatoid arthritis, by the way. So yes, Zoe, thank you for posting that in the chat. Opening jars is the first one to come up, and that is one of my most popular ones. What's so amazing to me is that, oh, perfect, now I can actually see myself, is that my most popular TikTok video actually my most popular TikTok video on global healthy living and on my own channel feature this handy multi-tool aid. So this is just something you can get on Amazon, or there's many different kinds of these. I'm not like promoting one versus the other, but the idea is that you can, I can explain to you the kind of the physics behind them, but a lot of the life hack items have the same principle, which is give you some sort of quote unquote mechanical advantage, so you don't have to put as much stress on your joints. In the same way as like holding, if you think about when you're packing and moving, which I happen to be doing right now, by the way, so sorry for all that mess behind me. But when you're moving a box, if you lift it and hold it way out from you versus holding it near you, right? One of them is harder than the other. And in terms of these life hacks, when you put the jar multi-opener on top of like something like peanut butter, you wouldn't be holding it in the air. I'm just holding it for demonstration purposes. It gives you a mechanical advantage. It makes it so you don't have to use all the force on your tiny little hand joints to squeeze. You're also using like your bigger joints of like your shoulder and your back. So if you have, whether you have osteo or rheumatoid or axial spondylitis, a lot of times you want to protect your tiny little finger joints. There's not a lot of space there. So if they get inflamed at all, there's not a lot of space for the inflammation to go. So multi-opener is very, very handy. The smallest part can go around things like a water bottle, which many of us have made videos about how difficult water bottles can be to open and close. Another simple one, a lot of gadgets and activity or aids for daily living, they're universal things that people use even who don't have, disabilities or challenges. So for example, just a simple electronic can opener is something that a lot of people have in their home. Well, that's an aid for you to reduce the strain on your potentially sore and tender finger joints, rather than using one of those, mechanical, manually operated ones that can be difficult. Another quick, simple thing is a sticky material like shelf liner or Dyson. I'd love to know in the comments if anyone else has used Dyson, but Dyson is great because let's say you don't want to use this awkwardly, large little multi-plastic thing. You can use this aid to give you a better grip and friction that actually means that you have to squeeze not as hard. Yes, Zoe loves Dyson as well. Woohoo, Dyson Club. Things we get excited about when we have chronic illness. We're like, Dyson. And yeah, one thing I end up doing a lot is, for example, using these special scissors, because the base of your thumb joint, there's two little special thumb joints that are different than the rest of your fingers, right? There's carpal, metacarpal, and metacarpal phalangeal. Doesn't really matter for the purposes of today. Just know that these kind of base of the thumbs ones can be really aggravated for osteo and rheumatoid. So for something simple like opening this little plastic baggie, whether it's a Ziploc, so it could be just a regular Ziploc, it requires quite a bit of force on your thumbs. Usually, you can change your approach. You can maybe use other fingers if your thumbs are, sorry, we're getting our roof replaced. So there's just people in our roof. Anyway, interesting timing. So I just say yes to everything and just say, I'm going to be flexible, whatever happens. So you can open it with your fingers, or for example, what I end up doing a lot of times is using these alternative kinds of scissors. The nice thing about these is that, so a regular pair of scissors, your thumb is doing quite a bit of the work and you have to put your thumb through the hole, right? With these kind, your thumb can be wrapped around. Here we go, this is a better way to put it. So I'm actually not using my thumb at all. I'm using my other fingers. This is again, so if your thumb is the issue. That looks kind of creepy, like, whoa, coming to get you. So I'm sorry for the person transcribing. Okay, I'm gonna be more linear. Okay, so instead of using a bag that has a Ziploc top, you could cut the bag. Okay, I'll do a real demonstration. Cutting it, and then use one of like these kind of things, like a little clothespin. Now that does require some force on your thumb, but you could, again, the second approach, instead of using something different, you could alter your approach. So I could use my other fingers. Does that all make sense? Let me know if I'm going to, metal tabs on dog food cans. I do the dry food. Does that mean the dogs probably like the wet food better? Yeah, when all else fails. Yes, Seth, order, that's in my list for fatigue. Order delivery when all else fails. That was actually I swear the hardest part of the pandemic in the beginning for me, like, is that I don't particularly enjoy like everyday cooking. I like special occasion cooking and baking, but I don't. We rely a lot on takeout in our family culture, and we live in I'm in Kirkland, Washington, which was the site of the first deaths from COVID and outbreaks. They were literally like 10 minutes from our house. So we were very much like, we are not going to ever order food again. And I was like, wow, I have to be subjected to my own cooking for a while. So yes, ordering out is good if you can. And then, another workaround is purchasing items that have easy open tops. So, orange juice is one of my most controversial videos, if you can believe this, is me making fun of how difficult it is to open orange juice tabs. And then I got orange juice shamed by the nutrition people who were like, you should not be showing yourself. And I was like, I didn't even drink the orange juice. I actually don't drink it because of acid reflux. I was just showing how hard it is to open. But some orange juice companies now make a really easy open top. So not all containers are made equal. So you can kind of experiment with brands, figure out which ones are easiest. And then use 2 hands rather than just one to distribute the force as a general joint protection principle. Occupational therapists are trained to teach you how to protect your joints. Even if, like, for example, in the first 5 years of my disease, I was very well controlled with medicine. And I wish I had learned about joint protection then. I didn't learn until I went into occupational therapy school. But just having a diagnosis of an inflammatory form of arthritis or musculoskeletal disease means that even if your disease is well controlled, you're going to be a little bit more at risk of developing issues down the line, like regular osteoarthritis. So it's a good idea to think about how you interact with items on a daily basis and try to reduce excessive strain on your joints. Experiment with brands, yes. And then for cutting and carving, people seem to be really excited when I talk about my favorite knife. Oh, this one originally got banned, my first video of this on TikTok, for violence. And I was like, sorry, I'm just showing me using the knife. So this is an alternate grip knife to protect your thumb. So you could use your other fingers, and you also use your big joints in muscles in your back and your shoulder. Now, of course, if your problem joint is your shoulder and your fingers are fine, you want to use your kind of problem solving skills and be like, okay, I don't want the one that protects my thumb by making my shoulder do more work if my shoulder hurts. So I am coming from a little bit of the rheumatoid arthritis perspective, because RA, or rheumatoid arthritis, tends to affect the small distal joints of the hands, wrists, feet, more so than the large joints like of the hips and shoulders. Again, everything with autoimmune, it does still depend. Something else that this illuminates or illustrates is the importance for some people of a wide handle. So you wouldn't use it like this. I'm just showing you the handle. So like, for example, for this peeler as well, a wide handle is great because it gives you more surface area to hold. So it distributes the force more. And also, oh my God, sorry, my son just knocked over. It's okay. Knocked over the computer. So it is depends on your particular body. I do know some people who say that actually, because of their joint, if you have any sort of like, I don't want to use the word deformity, but like the medical term is deformity, but the structure of your hand, if it has been changed due to your arthritis, then it may be difficult. You may actually not have the range of motion too wide. Sweetheart, can you go literally anywhere else? Thank you. I have a 6-year-old, but I'm glad you want to be part of this. And oh, he goes, no, I don't. And yeah, these are all good holiday gifts. So this is just like, again, not promoting one brand, but there's lots of different ones that have like a wide grip. And then a couple other things, workarounds. Again, if you don't want to buy something else, or you can't buy something else, to make sure you sharpen your knives, because sharper knives are way, way easier to use. I think maybe many of us have already figured that out. And use purchasing pre-chopped items. I do that a lot with like things that are harder for me to chop, like carrots. You could buy, there's a store near me where you can purchase a pre-cut, like, what do they call it? Mirepoix, where it's like onion, carrot, celery. That's like a good starter for lots of different dishes. And okay, we can't sugarcoat it. They are joint deformities. Hi, Christina. Yes. Oh, I know. I just try to be sensitive. Yeah. Wording is difficult because I don't want to tell someone you're deformed. Like that's, yeah. Anyway. So the other thing is, thinking about the silverware and the things that you use to eat. So I'll tell you, wayward optimism is something that I have been guilty of. So when I got married in 2012, my disease had been pretty well controlled for about 9 years. And so even though I had just finished my occupational therapy degree, when we went shopping for our wedding registry, I didn't take my rheumatoid arthritis into account as much as I should have. So I registered for these heavier crate and barrel plates and bowls, just thinking it's not going to be that big of a difference between these ones and let's say the Target Corel collection. Again, not saying promoting these, I'm just saying it's funny because another rheumatoid arthritis friend of mine, she also uses the same ones because I asked on my Instagram stories one time. So when your joints are hurting more, I can feel the difference so much now. Like this one's way better. So for me, because it's lighter. So thinking about lighter weight dishes, whether that's a mug or a cup or a plate. Oh, here's another example I forgot to show you of a wide grip. So for the potato peeler, and that's again a great example of an action where you're really using those large muscle movements. This I forgot to say in the opening section. I'm going to angle this down a little bit. This is a fully electronic opener. And what I mean by that is that it's a one touch and it opens it for you. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say it doesn't work on every single size. So I'm using my Surface laptop. Yeah, there's different brands of this. This is the Robo Twist as seen on TV. There's also an OXO one. It has a limited amount of diameters that it would work on. Okay, let's see it go. This was a popular one. Oh no. Oopsies. Hold on. I was gonna say I haven't actually used it on the peanut butter before. Okay, it doesn't work on the peanut butter. It works on glass jars. That's hilarious. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna use it on one thing. I'm just gonna have one thing. Oh, it is twisting. It's actually twisting it. It's kind of deforming the peanut butter, but it's actually twisting. So it actually twists things itself. But I would say it's a very specific kind of jar that it works on. It does work on this one. It works on glass or harder jars. I forgot about that because we have the plastic peanut butter. But then, so that's hilarious. Yeah. So you know what? Keep it real. Life hack fails is 100% part of life too. So I did not plan that to be a life hack fail, but we all have our fails. Another thing to think about for your actual eating part of cooking is putting the same kind of idea of a sticky surface like a Dyson, or in this case shelf liner, putting that down on the table and putting your plate on that can help you avoid like spills, because I know that for some people motor coordination can become difficult after a while, or fine motor control. And what's interesting is that this little fun factoid, I know everyone's like, it's late, I don't want to learn anything new, but that there's these special kinds of neuroreceptors called proprioceptors, and that's your receptors that tell you where your body parts are in space. So if you close your eyes and touch your nose, like the reason that without looking, you don't go like this, you don't go like this, you kind of have a map. Your brain has a map of where all your body parts are. That's from your proprioceptive sense. As you lift your finger to your nose, you're getting feedback about where everything is in space. So long story short, those are located in your joints. So that is the reason that sometimes when you have this a rheumatology disease for a while, or musculoskeletal disease that affects your joints, you might experience some motor coordination challenges because your brain is not getting the as much good input about where your body is in space because the proprioceptors are not getting the right information. So that's kind of interesting. Little fun fact. On this, the last couple minutes I wanted to mention, fatigue again is kind of the biggest unaddressed symptom that many of us have. So a few really simple things. Yes, please share your additional ones in the comments. A few fatigue hacks include like bringing a stool or chair into the kitchen, and so sitting down to conserve your energy for parts of it, chunking it out, or saying, okay, I'm going to do 5 minutes, take a rest break, 5 minutes, take a rest break, or 10 minutes. Delegating, so saying, okay, to your child, or depending on how old they are. I know in France, kids start helping out with cooking like really, really young, or delegating to a spouse, or of course things like buying pre-made food or semi-homemade grocery delivery. So there are so many different things you can do. Also, some people like to plan ahead and like do a bunch of freezer meal prep. I think Christina does that with smoothies. So you get your frozen fruits together in like little plastic baggies and get them all ready so that when you are making a smoothie in the week, you just have to take out the bag and you don't have to take out each individual item. So there's so many different things. And yeah, using a jar key for difficult glass jar lids, very good. Line baking sheets with tin foil so you don't have to scrub hard. Yes. And always soaking things before you clean them is a great tip. So that, and using, I just grab a quick scrub brush. So like using, again, that lever principle, like using something with a handle that gives you a better, it distributes the force better for your tiny hand joints than like pushing down with a regular sponge. So I like these kind. Also, switching hands back and forth can be handy, helpful, because you tend to be harder on your dominant hand over your lifetime, like through all your small daily activities. So sometimes like switching it up, like I try to switch it up with my left hand for cleaning up sometimes too. Oh yeah, I'm using a scarf to open the fridge door. I know. And I'll show you one quick thing. This is kind of cute. My husband's a really techie person. So what he got us, and this is again way too high tech and it's not very visually appealing, but he got us one of those paper towel dispensers for our house. I was like, cool, I feel like I'm at the doctor's office now. But whatever floats your boat. So not that getting paper towel is a particularly difficult activity. It's actually that's more handy for when your hands are kind of full. So thank you so much. I know this is my 20 minutes, so I don't know if there's anything else anyone wanted to ask. Sorry if the leaf blower is outside.
Thanks, Cheryl. That was awesome. If anyone has any more comments, throw it in the chat box. And before I turn it back to Chantelle, I would like to share my creaky joints gripper is my favorite kitchen hack. I literally use it to open everything, like my vanilla tonight. Just take it, turn, open, amazing. And it has creaky joints on it. So what could be better? I'll pass over to Chantelle. How are our dessert doing?
Okay, it smells amazing in here. We'll start there. Secondly, Cheryl, thank you so much. This was amazing. I love it. That was my peeler that I was like flashing. I'm like, yes, this is my favorite peeler. It's amazing. That's how I could peel all those apples in 6.5 minutes. A couple other things. Yes, the liner thing. This is also good for putting underneath your cutting board so that it remains non-skid. Fantastic. I found these on Amazon. They keep your drink cool. They're aluminum. They're super lightweight. And I love them. I just love them. This is something my dad got for me. It's a meat tenderizer. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what lifestyle he thought I was leading, but it works really well. And even if your hands are hurting, it's just a matter of just going a little bit of pressure. So a great other little thing. And lastly, Dad is from upstate New York. Love anything Corel Living Wear. Fantastic. Very lightweight and very durable for people like me who drop things a lot. So our slump is off the stove. The big reveal. Oh, it did the steam thing. Yay. I was hoping it would do the steam thing. Yay. Anyway, so I am going to serve this up. I'm not going to eat it right now because I'm making dinner, but I'll probably snack on it. Just don't tell anybody. You guys, don't tell anybody. So we have these big fluffy biscuits. that are on the top that are delicious, and everything in here has melted down to this delicious sauce. Oh my God, it smells so good. And so we'll give ourselves a couple of biscuits. And if you are so inclined, you can add ice cream, as I stated in the recipe. Oh, that's really good. But there you have it. A lovely ABC apple, blueberry, cranberry slump with some lovely biscuits on top. So I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. Hopefully we'll be back next month with something else fun. And thank you guys so much for coming.
Awesome. Thanks, Chantelle. This looks and smells amazing. I would hold up my pot to show you all, but it is way too heavy for my hands, as we discussed. Thank you, Chantelle. Thank you, Cheryl, for the amazing recipe and advice tonight. I know it's really brought so much joy to all of us to hear from you guys during this holiday season. And everyone, thank you for joining our Creaky Kitchen event. We here at GHLF love to see your faces and interact with you all. And if you'd like to get more involved in advocacy, feel free to join our 50-state network. I'm on our advocacy team, and Corey, our other Creaky Kitchen co-host, is on our advocacy team. And we love to see you all and advocate with you all. And happy holidays, everyone. Happy Hanukkah last night for those celebrating. Merry Christmas and all the holidays. Bye, everyone.